11 years ago when I moved to Berlin, we needed some kitchen stuff, so we went along to some second-hand furniture places, and in one place we found 2 slabs of marbles designed for cutting and things, but I thought these are going to be perfect for bounce juggling, and I wanted to work on a bounce juggling routine. However, there is a problem with bounce juggling routines, and that is fitting it into a space. For example, lots of show venues are quite small, so if people are sitting there, you can't see the floor of the stage. Probably the only place that people can see is around about this height. So when you're doing bounce juggling, nobody can see really what's happening down there with the bouncing. So one way that bounce jugglers get around this is by building a table or some kind of platform to stand on. However, if you're performing in small venues, maybe you can't juggle much higher than this if you're in like a, you know, like a small lounge or some kind of thing like that. So a bounce platform actually makes you so high that you lose any space. So when I designed my bounce juggling routine, I thought I need to make it so nothing happens kind of below hip height and nothing really gets thrown higher than I can reach about like this. So to get around this, I built an angled bounce table and created a routine around that. I performed the routine at the Shine Bar, which is a small variety cabaret theatre in Berlin. I did it 4 nights in a row. It got a great response. That is what this video is from. I performed it again at the Berlin Juggling Convention. It was okay, a bit droppy, but then it turns out that for such a short act, only 6 minutes, that bounce contraption, that table, was just way too big and too heavy to move around. Even though I had a van to do it, it was pretty much only a routine that I could perform in Berlin, because I don't perform in Berlin. It never really went anywhere. Because I put so much work into developing these skills, and it was one of my favourite routines, it felt really bad just to abandon it. So I thought, well, maybe I could find a way to put it into my main show if I could find an angled piece of something that I could bounce balls off. And of course I did find them here on pretty much every cruise ship, a grand piano. All of the main theatres, all these big theatres have grand pianos on cruise ships, and I thought, well, I'll develop a show where I bounce juggle off of the surface, this bounce surface, angled surface of the piano, and we'll have like a piano player sitting here playing live. Unfortunately, it didn't really go anywhere because I could never really get it solid. The angle here of the top of the piano is actually a lot shallower angle. I needed a much steeper angle to do the tricks really solidly, and when you're on a cruise ship, there's some big, lots of space around here. When these balls start flying, they really go everywhere. And it turns out that grand pianos are massive and heavy as well. It took so much effort to put them into the right place on the stage and move it all around, and I'd have to work with a live pianist to do this and make it the show that I really wanted it to be. Again, I just abandoned the idea, and I thought that would be the end of it, that I'd never actually get to perform the bounce juggling routine with the piano as I always wanted to. That was until about 3 years ago when Juliana, my girlfriend, she was studying singing and singing teaching, and as part of her singing teaching she had to do a piano improvisation piece, and she had to do a few minutes sitting here at the keyboard and also a few minutes inside the piano making noises with the strings inside the piano. And she said, hey, maybe we could do something with juggling. I'll do something with you with juggling. And I said, I know exactly what we have to do. So we worked on this juggling and piano improvisation piece for a few sessions. It's good that it was an improvised piece, that the juggling didn't have to be exactly locked in and the music could be whatever Juliana felt, but we had an overall structure. We knew what was going to happen, we just didn't know how it was going to happen. This footage you're seeing now is from a practice session, not from the final performance. The final performance was for 3 examiners and we got top marks, a 1.0 grade, which I was very happy about, and of course Juliana was over the moon about. And that brings us to November of last year.
Graduation ceremony.
Of course, the juggling and piano improvisation piece was just a small part of a grade, but it's interesting to see how a decision that I made 11 years ago, buy 2 marble slabs, has kind of like rippled throughout my life, improving it and changing it and creating interesting situations since then. The marble still survives, or at least one piece of the marble still survives. One of them fell over and smashed against my leg, but let's see where this will take me in the future. Maybe more bounce juggling, at least I hope so.